Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
And I was really hoping we would get to the point where we introduce Argent before he put his headphones back on.
Oh. No.
But I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining us is Evgeni.
I can continue playing with my hair. That's perfectly okay.
No, we're good. Who are you?
So last time I had balls in my beard.
No.
This time, I have this illustration from Fell Candy, which is Rudolph the X-Hound.
Cute. That's
also
very cute.
Also, I have this bottle of apple whiskey that says
Argent
on it. Yep.
Awesome. Great.
Carry on. I'm Argent.
Yeah. Also joining us is Grace.
Hello, I'm thegatorgirl.
Hello. And lastly, we have Marvin.
Hi, I'm Paleo.
Awesome, and I am Chaos. And this episode, we're gonna go through WoBs faster than last time. That's what I believe.
It's a low bar.
Perception in the Cosmere matters. So if I perceive that we're going faster, then we will be going faster. That's how it works.
Time flies when you're having fun with friends.
Yeah.
Is that why these episodes have been dragging?
All right, Ian, start us up.
Okay, so Pod asked in one of his books that he was having brought in sign, like, how many people are intentionally killed in the process of creating a typical medallion? And Brandon wrote, not as many as you think, which is at once helpful and so unhelpfully vague that it is prime Brandon.
I guess the question is, Pod, how many were you thinking?
And Brandon, are you a mind reader?
And it's also how many are intentionally killed, so maybe.
Kelsey are unintentional. Well, Kelsey is usually pretty intentional with his murdering.
Yeah.
So.
No accidents there.
And these are obviously referring to the medallions that are unsealed metal mines that are popular in South Scadrial.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if we can talk about this much. Next question covers a topic very near but not necessarily dear to our hearts. Pedanticness.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's dear to my heart.
Can you explain the difference between a singer and a listener? Asks the questioner. And Brandon says, singer is the name of the people in their own language. Listener, this group that split off from the singers and did not want to be called singers anymore, called themselves listeners, and that name perpetuated. You could say that singers is the name of the race and listener is the name of a nation.
Yay! Unlike that other WoB that Brandon's like, oh yeah, I think we need to canonize the name of the race. I'm like, but you did in the book. So probably just him being tired, but good. Dang it. That's good because that's a sensible one.
I think working on Rhythms of War, where there's more singer and listener stuff, probably cemented this. So
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
good.
Next questioner asked: has Hoyd ever died before? Brandon, define died. He has had his head chopped off. There's an inaudible clarification, and Brandon said, he actually ends the book Dragonsteel that's unpublished being beheaded. And that event happened, although that book didn't happen as the book was written.
That's fantastic.
I can confirm that is how Dragonsteel ends.
Yep. And Brandon has mentioned that Hoyd has had his head chopped off before.
Yep. And it was way back then. So nothing else in that book probably happens that way. But yeah, that events did occur.
So the next question is, the question asks, if it's possible for Nightblood to actually interact with a shard, what would happen? And Brandon answered, a shard would try to stay very far away from Nightblood. Nightblood could not plausibly destroy an entire shard, but the vessel could be in danger. Which I think is like more or less confirming what you already had. Like a shard is too large, but he can do serious damage.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we have an explicit confirmation that the danger is to the vessel. Like,
That's
we're
true,
not
yeah.
looking at maybe Nightblood's gonna eat up like 20% of the shard and then explode or whatever. It's the danger is to the vessel specifically.
Now I'm just like thinking, what does it mean to interact with a shard? And like what does that mean? But
When it comes to Nightblood, eat.
yeah. But like, would it be like a part of its power, or like, what does that mean? It's
can of worms.
unclear. Yes, it is. Cool. I also wanted to put some Skyward related questions in here because it is the Starsight release. And so this questioner asks, theoretically, could an AI develop cytonic powers, or is it purely biological rather than consciousness? Brandon, it is possible that an AI could. That's cool.
I don't know how I feel.
It is cool.
about it.
Yeah? Why is that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good talk.
Could it?
I
Could
do.
it-
Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair. You did brand it correctly.
Like the question is then, is it any AI or just the ones that use cytonics already for their processing? Like, but-
Yeah.
Now, what does it mean?
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's possible, it's probably, if they know about it, forbidden.
Yeah, it does make me wonder if the ban against AI, or the reason people in the superiority at least are so apprehensive of AI is because the combination of, like, not necessarily AI on its own being bad, but AI that develops cytonic abilities is what they're trying to guard against.
Huh. Yeah, I felt it was the cytonic processors that was the problem, really. That was annoying the Delvers, I guess.
Spoilers for Starsight.
Yep. Cool.
This next one is from Squeeves,
Squeeze.
who asked,
What a great name.
similar to how holding Stormlight and Voidlight causes an emotional reaction, does holding a lot of breath create an appreciation for beauty? Brandon, yes, I would say that it does. To which Squeeves then asks, does every form of investiture create an emotional reaction? Brandon, I would say yes.
That's kind of cool.
And it does make
Mhm.
some sense because Brennan has said, like, holding any amount of investiture will affect your
You.
personality. Like, and like the upper boundary of that is like shards and
Right.
shardican.
Right.
Yeah. It makes me think of, there was a WoB somewhere where somebody, well, obviously somebody, was asking about breaths and about why the returned look like the perfect ideas of what
Mhm.
beauty looks
Mhm.
like perfection, what looks like, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember the answer exactly, but one of the things that Brandon touched on was that since breaths are essentially slivers, well, I shouldn't say slivers, they're pieces of endowment, and
Splinters.
divine breaths
Oh,
are
yeah.
even bigger pieces of endowment.
Yeah.
Then the more breath you have, the closer you are to kind of this perfect ideal, which is endowment.
Mhm.
And this reminded me of that because it sounds like the more investiture you have, specifically of a given shard, kind of the closer you become to that shard.
I think that makes sense.
And so maybe the more Stormlight you have, the more Bondy or Oathy, whatever you are.
Well, I don't think it
Um,
needs to be direct like that. Because
Perhaps not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that endowment question was like whether there is an independent ideal of beauty and like that what the return would look like, or whether it's only formed by their perception. And like, yeah, the answer was, as Evgeni said, that there is something that is, you're moving towards endowment, basically. Yeah.
But like ideals of beauty do change.
Yeah.
But this does remind me of a scene in Warbreaker where Vivenna, like after she gets the breath from Lemix, and like so she like gets like perfect color recognition. She like describes, like, I think it's one of the palaces in the Court of Gods about how it's like varying shades of red, and she comments on how like beautiful it is, and Parlin is just like, it's just a lot of red. Like he can't see what she sees.
Yeah.
And part of that is like her ability to distinguish the colors. But I think it is also part of this, like, now she also like appreciates it more.
Perhaps. There is that moment in Words of Radiance when Hoyd is visiting Kaladin in prison, where Hoyd laments that now having perfect pitch. What does he lament? He was complaining about something.
He's not lamenting anything. He's like, oh, having perfect pitch makes tuning this way easier.
Oh yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah, I had it in my head that he was complaining that now it's too easy, and it's like
no.
Yeah.
He loves it.
And then there is another scene in the prologue where after Vasher gets the influx of bread, like he comments on like the colors of the prisoner's skin and the bruises, and how like they're like the colors are like so beautiful.
Yeah,
which always struck me as kind of weird and creepy, but now it makes more sense.
That the investiture is slightly changing it. I think that's reasonable.
I would say a big chunk of that, though, is just the ability to recognize all the different nuances.
And the
shades
heightening.
Like after you have lost the ability to recognize these colors and you regain it, you sort of Vasher rejoices that he has it again. Like
it's striking. It reminds me of this is off topic, but it's a cool thing. There's an interesting thing that some researchers did a few years back, where they wanted to emphasize changes that would normally be invisible to us, like in the human body, that is. And there's a big story behind all of that. But for practical purposes and for relevant purposes, what they did was they took video recording of people, and because computers are far better than us at like distinguishing differences in colors, what they did was they exaggerated the change in color as people's like blood flow and circulation change. So like as your blood is flowing through your body, like your skin is getting slightly less red and slightly more blue at times. And so they took that and they exaggerated it extremely with computers. And so you could see like people's like they pulse. I see that you think it's gross. It's gross, but it looked really cool.
And like maybe people of higher heightenings could notice that.
Yeah.
I imagine they would. Cool. But I don't think that Stormlight is about like motion, right? That it drives you to act. Right? It pushes in a sense, whereas so that's kind of what Stormlight does, and it doesn't need to be directly tied to the shard.
Yeah.
In that way.
It affects people. It doesn't have to be emotional effect.
Yeah. Or like an effect that is directly tied to the shard. Like from the name.
Fair.
That's more what I mean.
In the same way that the abilities you get from a shard are not necessarily tied to that shard.
Right. But I think all the sorts of investitures would have some sort of flavoring like this. That seems reasonable.
It's like beauty and endowment don't necessarily go together.
Well, that is very true. Yeah. We think of breath as, oh yeah, beauty, that makes sense. But it's like with endowment, like
Well, I mean,
endowing the arts. Endowing the arts, you know? I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
There are places I could take this conversation, but
let's move on to the next one.
There are allomantic savants. Are there ferrochemical savants? Says the question. And Brian says, much harder to do. My feeling on ferrochemical savants was because it was your own power in the first place. You can't steep in it so much in the way.
Probably in the same way.
In the same way, probably, yeah.
Probably.
Or in that way.
Yeah.
But if you can get someone else's power, or if you're fueling your ferrochemy another way, you could become one. So the Lord Ruler is a good example. Was Miles a... Yeah, Miles would be the same sort of thing. Is that why he didn't die as quickly in the execution? Brent says yes. So yeah, normally no, but if you can compound, you become... Basically, that is how I am explaining part of compounding abilities.
Makes sense. There needs to be an end positive component to become a savant. It can't just come from yourself.
Right. Yeah. You like, if you're just circulating your own juice, it's not enough. It will have a much, much, much less pronounced of an effect.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's good.
Makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
Yeah. Mason Wheeler asked, so Vasher has been on Roshar to live off the Stormlight. Does he know about Larkins? Brandon. He has heard of Larkins. How afraid of them is he? He is happy that they are all supposedly extinct. They would kill him.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But interesting that Larkins could grab that divine breath.
That's not
like that.
shocking to me at all.
Yeah, it isn't.
Well, that
'Cause
just has
ultimately,
implications.
It is divine breath is very similar to like other breath in that it is to a certain extent segmented from the rest of your spirit web. Like it is possible to give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's like a Larkin can't consume your spirit web, but technically the divine breath is not part of his spirit web.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not
as more or less.
It's not as easy as say Stormlight, because Stormlight is like leaky and porous, at least in humans. But breath it's kind of meant to be moved around
And gifted.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So the next question asked that or whether all the worlds in the Cosmere are on a linear timeline. And Brandon said that yes, they are with an asterisk. There is time dilation. If you get too close to large amounts of matter or large amounts of investiture, you will have time dilation. And then another question was, I was just curious about how time works for world hoppers. Brandon answered to that. So the world hoppers' time is going to pass normally unless they can stay near to large collections of investiture. They can warp time in the same way that gravity, large masses can warp time.
Makes sense.
This feels like this is a new thing Brandon decided, and he wanted to really make sure to say it on this event.
Right, because every signing or every event, there's like Brandon's like, I want to say this thing. Just give me an excuse.
Because he didn't need to go into that detail. So, well, that sounds fun. General relativity is known for being well and easy to understand and not the most mathy thing ever. So, yay. Great. Well, not the most mathy thing, but hooray. So, do we think perpendicularities would count?
I mean, at least technically, right?
Yes.
So,
like in the same distance that like a clock on the surface of Earth versus one that's like 20 miles in the air would technically experience different amounts of time, but it's negligible.
I would say that perpendicularities warp time sufficiently so that you can perceive the change on the scale of a human lifetime. Ish. I think the fact that they are saturated enough or dense enough to like puncture the realms means that they're pretty chunky boys.
Yeah. I would say so, yeah.
Obviously nowhere near the level of a shard, right? But I don't think it's going to be something along the lines of, well, if you live 100 years next to a perpendicularity, you are like 13 seconds older than somebody who doesn't. I think there will be a measurable difference.
Which makes travel through Cell's cognitive realm very interesting.
Oh, that's super interesting, actually.
Ooh.
Because like that is the most concentrated nexus of investiture we know of that isn't into place where time has no meaning.
Yeah, you just like you lose like months or years just like going through there.
That's really interesting to think about.
Yeah.
I'm also like thinking about the shards have expanded minds and stuff, but and where a shard is in the three realms is unclear, like kind of all of them, but mostly spiritual. But where that vessel is, it's not obvious. But they are literally holding massive chunks of investiture, so maybe they haven't experienced as much time as we think they have. But
it's a good call, yeah.
I think once you get to the point where you're a shard and the bulk of your being is in the spiritual realm, time doesn't have the same meaning to you.
Yeah, I would say that is very reasonable.
It could probably be a type of situation where you choose your own adventure when it comes to time. So like if you need to pay super close attention to like on a second to second or minute to minute basis somewhere, you can do that, even though that somewhere is in the physical or in the cognitive realm where time does matter. But if you're like nothing's going on, you don't have to spend 1,000 years bored out of your mind. You can just kind of let those pass.
They can fast forward.
Yeah.
But they can't rewind.
No, but they can slow down.
Doesn't work.
They can make speed bubbles at will.
The Lord Ruler spent a lot of time in his like little indoor hut, and that was basically above the Well of Ascension. Do we think that had a measurable impact on his life that he perceived, or probably over the course of 1,000 years, it probably was something, but like,
I'm gonna
did it
say
affect him much?
no, because the well was refilling, so like it was most pronounced there, and I imagine the effect on distance there matters a lot. Like, the hut was above there, but like I think you have to be very close to the investiture for it to really matter.
I would say so, yeah. And it was empty for like most of that time anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Weird. Neat. Another Skyward question. I'm apparently getting them all. Rashara asks, in defending Elysium, you had a guy in a white room with the communications. Then Spencer sees the Delver in a white room. Brandon, that is an intentional hearkening of the same idea. Rashara, are they closely connected? Brandon, I wouldn't say closely, but I would say moderately.
Thank you for asking if they are closely connected and not just are they connected.
Everything's connected in the spiritual realm.
But it's Skyward, so there is no spiritual realm to connect.
Look, the nowhere. Everything's connected in the nowhere. Easy. To be honest, I don't know what to think about this, because Rashara has definitely really liked talking about this, but I don't know what to think.
Yeah,
about the relationship.
I just don't know what the connection could be.
Yeah. It could just be that
obviously
Bren wanted
something iconic, but
it could also just be that Bren wanted that thematic connection, like not necessarily for any in-world reason. He just liked the picture of like
thematic connection is probably the most obvious and probably likely answer. I do kind of wonder whether the fact that you are in a white room kind of like empty of distractions makes Psionics, like facilitates Psionic abilities, like whether that's just obviously you don't need that, right? But if it helps,
that kind of reminds me of I think it was the Third Legion story. There's a point where Stephen like goes into a completely white room.
The room.
It's the second one, Skin Deep.
Is it the second?
Third.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they do it a couple times.
It allows him to like devote less of his mind to like perceiving the world and like devoting more to the aspects.
Legion is.
I think I. Oh no! Oh no! Detritus is the perfect state.
I'm trying to remember in Defending Elysium. What does Jason White think? Does he think white is super loud or black? Because I know he perceives color as cytonics, and I'm trying to remember which one.
God.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
If I had read Defending Elysium in the past 7 years,
I read Defending Elysium directly after Skyward.
Okay, I have the quote. To others, white was neutral, but to Jason, it was by far the most garish choice. So it probably is the loudest. Yeah.
well, that ruins that theory.
Well, maybe it's more that it's an incredible nexus of cytonic things happening. That it is the
Or it's-
loudest.
It's for him.
Yeah.
It's the loudest. But that might be because he is blind and he is using cytonics to perceive color. But to someone with sight.
Mm.
It is interesting that it's possible at all to perceive color with cytonics, which I don't think is something that has been talked about yet.
Yeah.
No, but we see it in Skyward too.
Yeah.
Where with Gran picking out and sorting the beads.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
Interesting. God, if I had spent any time thinking about this at all, maybe I would have had some cohesive ideas. But because color is just electromagnetic waves, right? They have different frequencies, and so if the way to perceive color with cytonic abilities is by picking up on those electromagnetic waves and identifying them, seeing them in a way. Figuring out what their frequency is, and it's a bit of a can of worm that if you've never seen color, then how are you associating these things? But whatever. And so it's almost like cytonic ability is this extra fundamental force that exists in the Cytoverse, right? Where
nice.
Nice.
Normally in our universe, we talk about electromagnetism or electric waves and magnetic waves. We talk about weak atomic and strong weak nucleus and strong nucleus force. And we talk about gravity, which we're not quite sure how to fit in there, but we think maybe there are. Well, we know that there are gravitational waves. Yeah, we just don't know how to quite explain them. And so, but there is the idea of the theory of everything, right? Einstein's dream, where we can consolidate all of these forces into one. And the reason they're different is because of different scales, because of different environmental conditions. And so if you can unify all of these forces, theoretically, and if there is an additional force, which is cytonics, and if that force can also be unified under the same set of equations, under the same reasoning behind all of them, then if all of these forces are the same, then it's kind of, in a fantasy world, a sci-fi world, conceivable that somebody who can detect one of them can detect the others, because they are essentially the same force that manifests in different ways.
Yeah,
and so you're kind of feeling the world through cytonics.
And we know that the Delvas are they are annoyed by all kinds of electromagnetic radiation. They have to keep the normal radio quiet. So that would fit that as well. That cytonics are just sensible to all kinds of radiation.
Cytonics is the most annoying to them. Cytonics is what draws them in. So perhaps it's the most energetic type of thing. But we also know that among the other forces, electromagnetism is the next most energetic one, right? And then it's strong in... Well, no, that depends on scale, right?
Yeah. Not a well-posed question.
Fair. Retract.
Yeah.
I sit down, Your Honor. But yeah, if cytonics is the loudest to them, then you can ascribe a hierarchy where once that's out of the equation, then electromagnetism, and so radio communication is pretty loud to them. It's like they're not attracted to the weak nuclear force, right?
Yeah.
Which is everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the strong.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's do this next one.
So this is another Cytoverse question from Arshara.
Thanks, Grace.
Are the Delvers, are they new since Jason's time? Brandon, they existed, but Jason didn't know about them. Arshara's like, oh, because we couldn't find any trace of them. To which Brandon says, there is no trace of them. They were basically added in when I was doing Skyward. It was my evolution of where I wanted to take the whole thing.
Brandon wrote Defending Elysium a really long time ago in Monterey, where I am.
Yeah.
Cool. Also, thanks, Grace, for coining the word Cytoverse. I love it. I would love it to love this universe to have a name that's not Skyward Universe, so that'd be great.
Defending Elysium universe.
Nope.
Skylysium.
Skylysium Legion, because Legion Skyward. Oh, no.
That makes me...
Yeah. Plus perfect state. Easy.
Defending Skyward.
Defending Skyward. That's an interesting thing that the Delvers existed when Jason was doing all these very powerful cytonic things.
It is mentioned that it took like several generations for like cytonic people to get power enough to start attracting Delvers.
Well,
So,
the training. Yeah.
And so like he's one of the first. So
Of humans.
Yeah.
of humans.
And it could be possible that the Delvers had learned, when in the start, when there was only one person annoying them, it was enough to ignore it. But then, like, a bunch of people did it and they came through. And now whenever they feel that one person, it's enough to be like, we need to stop this now before it gets too much.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of this is very human-centric, right? Because we know, for example, that the Kitsen have been on Earth
Yeah.
hundreds, if not thousands, because I don't know when the Defending Elysium happens, but it's like at least hundreds of years before DE. And they had, like, they traveled to Earth using cytonics. We also know from Starsight that something like the Mind Blades is a pretty advanced technique. And so Spencer doesn't have it. Jason did.
It's tricky because since Defending Elysium was written so long ago, and it's kind of difficult explaining some of the things that happen in it, that if Brandon wrote it now, like there probably would be a mention of the eye. Jason probably would be more specialized. That to a certain extent, Defending Elysium is a product of its time. And so it's not as useful a basis for theorizing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, by definition, Brandon is going to have to like twist some of the rules that now exist to explain what happened there.
Yeah.
And as far as the Delvers are concerned, like they came from another story that he wanted to write, the eyes, like the Fermi paradox story. So that was an entirely separate story. So that explains why there's none in Defending Elysium, because he didn't have the idea yet. Yeah.
I personally think, because the Diones mentioned that there were 13 Delvers or something that came out, and I want to imagine that was before Jason's time, but maybe not.
Well, we do also know that humanity has a higher rate of cytonics in the population than the other alien races.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Defending Elysium takes place in the year 2211, Argent, by the way.
Cool.
Yeah, but like at that point, there really isn't any prohibition on like the aliens' part to like limit cytonic.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
I probably wouldn't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
Like a potential explanation that Brennan could use is like that the Delvers were really in, like, the galaxy is pretty large, and so like just the Delvers were more of a threat in one part, and like for some reason they didn't use cytonics for fast and light communications too much then, and so they didn't know across the galaxy that there were these eldritch horrors on the other side, and Earth was in like that region, and yeah, but I don't know. That would be one way, but they have fast and light communications, so it is mute again. Like,
I think there's probably some in-world explanations, but we're not going to get it from Musblab here, probably, because it is retroactively expanding the universe, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe there's some slight non-canonical things in Defending Elysium as well. That's just like, hey, the capitalization is not the same. Like, so like there's probably some small things that might need to be altered for it to be truly canonical, but I'm mostly canonical.
Next question. We abandon the Cytoverse to go to the place where all questions go. Roshar.
The spiritual realm?
Well, I mean, it's
Nowhere.
practically Roshar. Will we see more of Risen in the Stormlight Archive books? Yeah, I plan to. She never becomes a main character. I plan to have an interlude with Risen every time, says Brendan. So she won't be out of the interludes? No, she won't be. But I might write a novella with her like I did with Lift.
And it's definitely talked about the novella before, but interesting that she never spirals into a main character in the back five, and she's interlude only with maybe a novella. That's interesting.
I mean, obviously, we can also meet her from other characters' perspectives.
That's true. Yeah.
The same way we did at the end of Oathbringer.
Sure.
Yeah.
This next one is one of my favorites for a Brandon sassy answer. I love it. This is incredible.
Questioner. I have a bit of a problem with the first Desolation timeline.
Not the only one.
I'm wondering how old were the heralds when they became heralds, Brandon? The age that you would see them as when you met them. They basically are the age they look. When they became heralds, they are the age that they appeared. So they were like in your younger middle age? Some of them. I mean, Ishar is older. So that means that the entire timeline of the first Desolation happens within a single lifetime? A lot of the ancient chronologies are wrong, and you won't get the actual answers until the heralds themselves explain it in their flashback sequence in the back five. You've said that the heralds came over from Ashen. Yes. Okay, how old were they then? Younger than they were when they became heralds.
Kudos, good sir.
He does confirm that there is no time travel.
Yeah.
I'm so curious how off the ancient chronologies would be and what actually happened. And I hope it will all piece together correctly. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Brandon's doubling down, so that's good. So I think he has a plan.
And it sounds like one of the takeaways is that the moment they become heralds, they essentially freeze when it comes to their age.
Yep.
That does make sense because as heralds, they are cognitive shadows.
Well, so you could say that, but also like returned kind of... They don't get to choose their age and body, but like that's malleable.
We're back to the
change.
Weeds.
They at the moment of return they change, or at least can change.
Yes,
And so it could have gone either way.
but at the same time, the heralds know how old they are.
And maybe that was just
returns are a good point. That
but maybe it just was part of the oath pact that like you get to be, or every time I create a new body for you, it will have the same age. Like they just agreed on that. Maybe.
Well, so with the bodies, what's probably happening is because we know that they get bodies like that are generated from investiture, essentially.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, what's probably happening is the body they get is the body they had at the moment of the Oath Pact, or
Sure. Yeah. I
around
believe
that
it.
time. This is interesting, though, because what we can do is we can look at the apparent age of all the heralds as we see them right now.
Mhm.
And we can draw some conclusions about, right? So if for example, let's say Shalash looks like she's 25. Maybe Shalash is not the best example because we don't know if she was born. Let's say Shar looks 60, for example. That means that he was about 60 when he became a herald, which means that it's not possible for there to have been more than 60-ish years, probably pure, because other heralds are younger, between the Exodus and his ascension to a herald. So that doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us much. Like we already kind of knew that it had to be a lifetime type of thing. But like, if Kalak looks to be 20 or 30 or whatever, then that narrows that window much more.
Man, there's a lot that needs to happen in that lifetime. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot that needs to happen.
So talking about why the heralds kind of stop aging compared to the returned, one thing I think is interesting is that we know Ishar looks like he would look Shin, but he is currently leading Tukar. And and like there's, I think someone has asked Brandon about that. He didn't really give an answer. So it's possible maybe they heralds could change more, but like their perceptions of what they looked like when they stopped aging is affecting things, maybe.
I think,
And it could just be returned are more malleable.
Yeah.
I think they're more malleable also because they're being put in the same dead body that they had when they were alive, and so that's another factor that the heralds have a new one recreated, not the same one.
Yeah. And it's like the descendants of the first returned with the royal locks inherit that ability.
Mhm.
We don't know if a herald were to have a child, it's unlikely that child would have the royal locks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is interesting, but I think we can all agree that Brandon's answer of younger than they were when they became heralds is spectacular.
Yeah.
Technically correct. The best kind of being
The
correct.
best kind of correctness.
Let's move on to the next swap, where the question asks, are there enough perfect gemstones on Rosha to capture all of the unmade? To which Brennan answered, yes, there are.
Mm.
Which,
Cool.
I'm not super surprised by this.
No.
Yeah.
Because there's
Like
only 9 unmade.
Yeah.
That's
I
not that
I think
many.
there's more than 10 perfect gemstones, but
yeah, they use them in Shadesmar as
Mhm.
banks.
oh yeah,
sort of,
right,
so
true.
there have
Yeah,
to
there
be-
has to be a lot more.
Nah, I
few
wouldn't
at
have
least,
said it has to be, but it's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Questioner,
Mhm.
has hemalurgy been used outside of Scadrial that we've already seen? Brandon, you haven't seen someone using it, but there are effects of it that you have seen, I believe.
So we haven't seen someone do
What?
the stabby, but we've
Yeah.
probably seen somebody with spikes.
Do we think this just refers to the Kandra World Hopper?
Yeah, it's possible.
I guess that could.
Technically be correct.
That's the boring explanation.
I feel like there was a much older WoB, like from several years back, that said that we have seen somebody outside of Scadrial who has done hemalurgy, had hemalurgy done on them, but that there aren't enough clues in the text for us to identify them.
Yeah, whereas this is
Mhm.
saying there are effects of it that you have seen.
Mm.
Which is why this is confusing to me.
Well, those could be different things. That like someone that we've never seen has used hemalurgy. But Brandon is saying here, you haven't seen that person, but you have seen effects of hemalurgy. So that's consistent, that we just haven't seen that person, that's just in the background.
Sure, I guess.
Huh. Well, I don't know what that could mean, because hemalurgy can do any old thing, really, with enough knowledge. So, yes, Ian?
Well, it's not something I want to get into. But I did have like a really good theory about what stealing destiny had actually mean the other day. But I do not want to get into that right now.
Are you sure? Are you sure? We got time,
Yes.
actually.
Do it. I dare you. I double dare you, Ian.
I might steal your destiny if you don't.
I double doggy dare you.
A somewhat high probability we actually did discuss this on the hemalurgy episode, and I've just forgotten about that, and now I'm claiming it as my own idea. But you know how Kaladin is good at the sphere because he will be good at the sphere.
Kick him out of the podcast now.
And how it's like Syl was like, I didn't know you, but the wind knew you. And how like Syl like changes to look like Shalon before, like when she's standing on the edge of the puddle. So what if like stealing destiny is stealing like future parts of like future connections to your spirit web? Like connections that aren't things that aren't part of your spirit web yet, but will be. Which is still technically part of your spirit web.
Yeah.
Because time has no meaning. And this is why I did not want to get into it here.
That is true. I also have some bad news for you guys.
What?
What?
We have not been in WoB mode this episode. That's fine.
Oh.
It's fine. It's less production later. It's less production later, but I'm sorry, viewers, that I didn't have my reminder.
People can look at their WoBs whenever they want. They can look at our faces only when we record.
That is a good point. I'm glad
They've been getting the content they come here for.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'll switch it now. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Don't any of you want to respond to my theory now that you made me say it?
No,
Not
I don't.
really. No.
We already have in the spiritual realm, so it's all.
Right. So what are you thinking? You're thinking that what Brandon might be saying here is that we have seen somebody who has stolen somebody else's destiny.
Oh no, that's all another part. It's like it doesn't actually have anything to do with it. I was just thinking about like, oh, hemalurgy. Oh yeah, I had that idea about stealing destiny the other day. And
Which is why he didn't want to talk about it on this episode.
Yeah.
But we forced him to.
Well, we only have about a page left of WoBs. Let's go into this.
Oh no.
You don't actually have to.
It's a reasonable idea, I think. I'm not exactly sure how something like that might manifest in the Cosmere, right? Because let's take Kaladin's stabby skills, his spear fighting skills. He is so he's a youth, right? It's the first time he's picking I think it was a staff or a quarterstaff that he picks up, and like he really feels a connection there, right? And then years down the line, he starts training with the spear. He becomes very good with the spear. If we are saying that one of the reasons he will eventually become very good with the spear is that even back then, even in Hearthstone, he had those connections. They were just like, you can think of them as paths. Yeah, right. So they're like paths that at the end of the path, he is good with the spear. And like, so the path still connects. I don't know why I'm saying path, but I have like two hands. Why do we have two hands?
You're drawing the two sides of the path.
What is a hand?
But so back in Hearthstone, there is still a capital C connection between that version of him and the version of him in the future where he is a skilled spearmaster. but he's obviously not that version of himself, right?
Mhm.
And so let's say you go to him after he shows off or tries to show off and like has the fight with Jost and gets beaten up and is like, Cal, lay down on this table real quick. Let me show you something. And you stab him. And maybe you steal his destiny. What are the implications of that? Like, so one, he no longer has that destination, right? It's no longer
Because he's dead.
details.
But it's not the destination that matters, it's the journey that matters.
Right, so when you steal destiny, do you also steal the journey, or is it just the
Only destination.
So does that mean that he can never become good with the spear? Does it mean that he's less likely to become good? Because like maybe there were other connections that also led to that same destination, right? Maybe the whole thing with TN doesn't happen and the army doesn't happen, but like he just trains with the local lumbersmiths or whatever. Or does it mean that so that's him, and then you, now that you've committed a child murder,
Yeah, as you do.
are you now destined to become good with the spear? Are you more likely to become good with the spear? Are you like what are your thoughts on the actual effect of that thing?
So I think this gets into stealing destiny would just be very weird and very difficult to do well.
Yeah.
I think if Kaladin were to survive that destiny being spiked out of him, it's not impossible for him to become good with the spear, but it's much less likely for him to be, I think. Because it's like he's not getting that, like, because to a certain extent, it's a positive feedback loop. Like he's good at the spear because he will be good at the spear. Now he's just
The meme of a
doesn't
wob.
have- Yeah, I know, but
You memed it so much.
You think he can learn it, but he isn't naturally good at it. Like,
yes,
yeah.
and he won't be as good as he is as we see him. He just, I don't know.
I have even more of a twisty turny
no.
hypothetical.
Oh, great.
Rather than
the
stealing
twisty-turny.
the good with a spear, you said you gave us an example that Syl said the wind knew you. If you steal that part of the destiny, Kaladin survives. Okay?
Mhm.
You spike that into yourself, but Syl, she sees that there's a spike in you, doesn't want to form a bond, but Kaladin, despite the fact that that was spiked out of him, he's still essentially the same person, right? He still wants to protect people.
Mhm.
So what happens with Syl?
Or alternatively, because you spiked the wind out of him, that is connected to other things, and so maybe now he doesn't want to protect people.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I didn't want to use that as an example.
Yeah.
Because like skill with the spear felt very
Concrete.
isolated.
Yeah.
Very concrete. Once you start throwing other people in the mix and like personal characteristics that are not necessarily stolen by hemalurgy, there's a spren involved.
Those are more fun to talk about, though.
Yeah, it's like I said, being able to use this kind of hemalurgy well, I think for the average human or other sapient being in the Cosmere would be virtually impossible. Like, you simply would not have enough information to have the right intent to spike the right exact thing
You'll
to
probably
do
get
what you
something
wanted
out.
to do.
I also still think that maybe destiny is just some Skadrian scholars not understanding fortune properly.
Still very possible.
Possible.
And I mean, like, the things we're talking about might still be fortune.
I mean, the things that you're talking about could maybe be done with stealing connection in some way.
Yeah.
That you're
And-
stealing his connection with a spear.
Sure.
Yes, but ultimately, I don't. This goes back to our conversations about fortune, which I think all fortune is reading like future
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I
it's
mean,
like that isn't too dissimilar from what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we know it's a spiritual attribute.
Yeah.
Like it's a concrete thing.
What is a
Yeah.
thing in the spirit?
And-
Mhm.
What does
Also,
it mean to be
obvi-
concrete?
obviously
spirit.
with Destiny, there's the whole question of like free will as well, and what Destiny is and how free will in the Cosmere plays into that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
I am so sorry, Marvin, that you had to be here for this.
It's
Like, hey,
fine.
remember that conversation we had that one time? Let's just have another conversation about that thing on a different episode. How about we move on to the next question, where we will now actually go into WoB mode
Yes.
to do that. But that was a
Okay.
fun tangent. These episodes get to be a little more chatty, you know.
Yeah.
And we're talking about things. This is kind of like what our conversations are like. A little bit.
So this questioner asks, Hoyd's ability to hurt Kelsier, is that due to his perceptions and beliefs or those of an external entity? Brandon, it's going to be a bit of both, but more his perceptions and beliefs. This is how a lot of things in the Cosmere work in the Cosmere, particularly if you're aware they work. This is referring to Hoyd's inability to hurt people.
mhm.
But he can hurt
But he could
Kelsier.
hurt Kelsier.
To where they were?
The cognitive realm.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
Oh! I was thinking the well. What does the
To be
well
fair,
of
it could
Ascension
be
have
the
anything
well.
to do?
Yeah.
The Well of Ascension is well known for being associated with beating people up. Everyone knows that.
It could just be they were closer to the spiritual realm because they were in a perpendicularity.
Sure, why not?
your fist ascends to the face of the other person, so
I'm connecting with you. We have a connection.
Left fortune, right fortune.
I might see
Call
you
this fist connection and this fist identity. Yep. How much do we know about Kelsier and his hurting things stuff? What do we know?
Point.
He does it a lot.
Yeah, okay. Hoyd, not Kelsier. Yeah.
All we know is that Hoyd can't hurt people.
According to Rock, didn't Rock supposedly say the other gods made it that way or something?
He
I
did.
think
About
Rock did say
Lunu
that.
Anaki,
Ye-
but
Yeah.
how much
Yeah.
of that is true to Hoyd?
But that's called
isn't-
foreshadowing.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough hints that Lunu Anaki is Hoyd that like we can kind of take
Well-
that into account at least.
I would say Lunu Anaki is a cultural construct based on Hoyd.
Yeah, I think Ian's just saying is that just mythology or actual things? But considering Hoyd can't hurt people, that there's definitely some truth to it.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think whether there was one that talked about whether his inability was self-imposed or forced by others.
yeah, like that's the thing. Like if he thinks he can't hurt people, like he doesn't know that he will be able to actually hurt Kelsier.
Mhm.
Yes.
He supposes that it might be.
And he also says that, I don't remember if this was read to Brandon or like Hoyd in Secret History, but Kelsier might have been hurting because he thought he should be hurting based on what Hoyd was doing to him.
That's secret history.
Yeah.
Like the
because-
actual pain.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
like Hoyd is beating him up and Kelsier thinks like, oh, he's beating me up. I should be feeling pain. No, he does.
I can't help but think that Hoyd's inability to hurt others is somehow tied to his healing factor.
I mean, they are
'cause-
two weird things with Hoyd, for sure.
Yeah, so the two have always been connected in my head, in that you can't damage others and you can't be damaged yourself, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that is reasonable.
And the reason I bring it up is because at the end of Oathbringer, he is able to suppress his healing thing, which suggests that it's a thing like that's his own, like he has control over it, even if not complete.
Wait, he suppresses his healing thing?
Yeah, because he manages to punch his tooth out.
Well, he gets someone to punch his tooth out.
Sure,
because he can't even hurt himself.
Yeah.
Right, but he was talking about how he's been suppressing it for like 2 weeks or whatever.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I vaguely remember that.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like the fact that it isn't just other people, that he can't even cause harm to himself.
Mhm.
I just don't know.
All of this is very preservation-y, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Hypothetical. There's a Kremling that is part of a horde running past Hoyd. Can he step on it? Knowing and not knowing that it is part of a Dissian alien. Can Hoyd hurt animals?
I don't know if we know.
I don't think we know.
Yeah.
I would say that he can, because I think his limitations apply to sapient beings only.
Mm-hmm. So the question is,
Maybe sentient.
yeah, would a hordeling count? Because the hordeling is not the Dissianamian. Does a hordeling dying cause pain to a Dissianamian?
I think if he knows, he wouldn't be able to, partially just based on perception.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how his perception of this matters.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Brandon says in this swap that
Well, yeah.
it's partly his perception.
But like, I don't know how mechanically that works, how that operates.
Course,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how, like, if he actively tries hurting someone, like, how does he, like, stop doing, like, not hurt other people? Like, I don't know.
I imagine he just fails to perform the action.
Yeah.
Like, he tries to punch somebody, and it's just like his hand doesn't do the motion.
But, like, he almost accidentally steps on someone's toe. Like, he just can't. Weird to think about.
I feel like it's about intent.
Yeah.
Probably,
he can't intentionally hurt someone.
Yeah.
This definitely is a capital I intent situation, I would say.
Yeah.
Like if you were to toss Hoyd from a building on top of somebody else, that's not him. Like, obviously he would squish that somebody else and damage them, if not kill them. But like, he's not doing that thing intentionally or doing that thing at all.
That makes sense.
He'll just fall like this.
Just do a sharp, like, right angle to the
Laws of
side.
physics do not allow you to do this.
I'm sorry, Hoyd. I can't allow you to do this.
It's like one of the laws of robotics is like you will not harm someone or through inaction allow harm to come to someone.
Yes.
So do we think Hoyd could through inaction, could he allow someone to be hurt?
Absolutely.
Does he only have that one half of the law?
I think so.
I am firmly in that camp.
Yeah.
Well, he says to Dalinar that he's totally cool with, like, if your world burns to get what I want, then I'm cool with that. So,
and like, I guess that's also a sort of philosophical debate how far these laws of robotics apply. But like, could he have at the Davas? There was a lot of damage done there. Hoyd was in Shallan's life before that happened. So would he have been, or would he have had to do it because he also has like fortune stuff that is weird? So like, how far back sort of does his inaction?
I don't think inaction.
Yeah, I don't think inaction. But that does raise a good point of like how many steps removed. He can't punch a guy, but let's say like he pushes a boulder down a hill and that boulder hits someone.
I think that's where we got to go back to intent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be okay.
Yeah, if somebody just happens to walk by and like is hit, that would work.
Okay.
But if-
Interesting. Great.
Next question. No more Hoyd. Yay.
Number Hoyd.
No more Hoyd.
Okay.
Number Hoyd. Number A+.
1-800 Hoyd Vax
we are
is my new phone
Hoyt.
number. Questioner asks, I was just going to ask if we are going to hear any more First of the Sun, which is the Sixth of the Dusk story.
Yep.
I actually started writing, says Brandon, a sequel story, but it gives a lot away about Era 4 Mistborn. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. The questioner continues, so we'll just wait a little bit. And Brandon says, yeah, we'll see if Peter thinks I'm giving away too many things. Like, I don't want to give away endings of things like Stormlight Archive in the short story, and so I have to be careful about those things.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
As excited as I am of Dusk exploring the cognitive realm, I would expect the big tentpole series to have pretty big Cosmere-wide things occur.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And as much as I like Cosmere secrets, I personally would rather have plot-relevant story beats stay a secret.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And we'll pick apart any detail, so...
Yeah. Because like you can't have Dusk go into the cognitive realm there and somebody shows up and like, wow, hello there, good traveler. Our one and only shard in the Cosmere, Harmony, because everyone else died, says welcome.
He has to go through customs.
No.
It's a lot of stuff.
In that scenario, that's the problem. He's not going through customs. Yeah.
What it would give away about the Stormlight Archive ending is that Chowder becomes sort of there's a Chowder chain, and that's where he first eats it.
Yes, of course.
There's like McDonald's all over the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
It's just Chowder places. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't get that one. That's okay though.
Well, I think he'll write it, but we just won't get it until it's no longer spoiler.
Oh, will it be like one of those things like The Traveler, maybe? Because he wrote Traveler and is like, wow, that's giving a lot away. And now we have Secret History, so now I can talk about it, right?
Yeah, so it might go into the vault for
It'll be like
years.
Yeah, every State of the Sanderson for the next 20 years. We'll just have Six of the Dusk people written, but waiting to release until secrets are revealed.
I have to write 3 more series to do it. One of them being Stormlight, so have fun waiting.
Sixth of the Dusk sequel, T-minus 34 years.
Great. Well, looks like I can't wait for that because I can actually. I'm cool with that. So then there's a few more WoBs from that high school signing thing. And we talked about the spiciest one about the Aiden Alcium thing in the last episode, but there's a few more that are somewhat interesting.
This questioner asked, can a high storm recharge sand from Taldane, and would that sand be charged with Stormlight, or would it be masterable? Brandon, it would recharge the sand, and it would be masterable, not Stormlight.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this makes a lot of sense, yeah. When you charge sand, what you're doing is you're not storing investiture in the sand. You are like the little thingies, which may or may not be lichen, that are on the surface of the sand are getting charged themselves. And when you are mastering sand, what you're doing is you're creating your own water for the investiture of those little thingies to produce like the effect that you can produce, which is sand mastery. And so what kind of investiture is stored in the sand doesn't matter. What matters is that you're getting it and you're performing sand mastery.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Cool.
Okay, then let's move on to the last question for this episode, where the questioner asked whether what would happen if Nightblood was drawn in the spiritual realm, and the answer from Brandon was trademark, really bad thing. And saying trademark like that really is not a trademark move of his, but that is, yeah.
No,
We're
it's-
bookending our WoBs with more terrible things that Nightblood would do, but like, how would you even get Nightblood into the spiritual realm? How does that even make sense? But
yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You can't draw Nightblood because drawing implies motion and motion implies time and doesn't.
technically, he's already there.
It's already drawn.
It's already drawn. Brilliant. Well,
We
cool.
opened the episode with Nightblood and we closed the episode with Nightblood.
By stabbing it. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, we got our WoBs. A little shorter episode this time, but that's okay. We had a fun little destined interaction, you know, that occurred, but that's all fine. Maybe destined. So why don't we go on to who's that Cosmere character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace, Tien,
Tom.
Braze.
Hoyd in drag on a horse.
It's time for who's that Cosmere character? Caw.
So I forgot to do the spiel on the last episode.
That's okay.
So, hello and welcome to Who's That Cosmere Character, the show where you send in an email with 5 clues and a character that they correspond to. I read the 5 clues aloud to our panel of contestants, and after each clue, they have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character.
Yes, make sure to include the character that your clues go to. Very good.
Send your submissions to wtcc@17shard.com.
And Evgeni, what are you doing?
Unlimited clues.
Unlimited clues!
Execute Order 69.
Palpatine was not as fun as I was hoping in Rise of Skywalker, must say. I'm not a fan.
No. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, there's Palpatine in there.
Spoilers, the first text says he's there, so, you know, it's not really a spoiler.
Literally the opening crawl.
It just literally says, Palpatine's back 'cause reasons, hey!
All right, this first one was sent in by Hugh Tinahole, and they put 10 clues, so I'm just going to choose my 5 favorites.
Yeah.
Wow. They have no faith in us.
I can't fit 10 on here, so just send it 5.
Clue 1. This character works at night.
Silence Montaigne.
It is not Silence Montaigne.
Good guess.
Ian?
I don't remember his name.
Is that your guess?
No.
Do you have an adequate description?
Yes. It is the old fisherman that dredges up Nightblood from the bottom of the bay, who killed his mother to get her apartment, but then found out that she was only renting the apartment.
Is that old
And
chaps
so was
or
Dallas
old
Group.
claps, I think?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
It was old something,
Old
starting with a C.
C, yeah.
Damn it, Ian, it's Old Chappie, and you were right.
Clue
That was a
1.
pretty specific first clue, I'll admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not even upset.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
I'm like, the only reason I know of this character is because I saw a piece of fan art of them.
The other clues are this character meets Nightblood.
Oh, okay.
This character
Okay.
goes by a name that's not their given name. This character works on a boat, and this character's work is illegal.
Cool.
I'm on a boat, yeah.
What about?
The bad thing is, I actually looked up that character like 2 days ago when it came up that Nightblood changed his weight now in the Leatherbound, apparently. But yeah,
What?
Oh yeah, I
did
remember.
not remember him.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're like apparently they changed the wording. So at the beginning, Vesher remarks that, so a guard remarks that, he grunts at when he picks up Nightblood, surprised at the sword's lightness. And previously there it said just weight, and everybody assumed that it was surprisingly heavy, not light. And yeah, apparently they changed it in the Leatherbound.
I mean, I guess that's a clarification, not a change.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, also, a little later on, apparently, Vesher is surprised. The now heavy sword in his hand, like the now they added that, which
Huh.
yeah.
Huh.
Weird.
But I don't have my leather bound yet, so I couldn't check whether that
Oh,
actually
I
was
do,
there.
but
Yes.
I would need to-
Downstairs.
Yeah, it's downstairs. The Warbreaker Leatherbound is gorgeous.
I
Might
definitely
listen-
panicked when I first opened it because I thought my cover was on upside down. But then I realized, like,
because
Nightblood
it's the
is
same on
pointing me
both.
out.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I'm like, because like I got it like this, and I'm like, I'm opening it, and I see the like it's upside down, and I see the back end pages. I'm like, what?
And then I looked at the spine and like that was also upside down and it didn't click immediately.
That's so weird. But yeah, that's interesting. I guess it makes sense if they are like emphasizing the similarity between Nightblood and Shardblades, which are also lighter than they should be, given the like
yeah.
a blade of that size.
That's probably it.
Oh, I should read that thing.
I have
Also,
to go through piece that out. Yeah.
Ironically, my copy is at the customs office right now. So.
The Nalthian customs.
So brutal. So brutal. But it's a beautiful book. Definitely
It
get
is.
it if like it's super gorgeous. The art is on like fancy paper. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's really shiny. Like people kept telling me that the paper is shiny, and I'm like, well, okay, sure. And then I saw
Yeah,
it,
but then
I'm
you
like,
see
oh,
it. Yeah.
I'm like, yep, that's a shiny paper.
And then like all of the God King's writing is in purple. So it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Okay.
I actually love that a lot.
I like it too. It's sweet. Awesome.
All right.
Let's do the next one.
This next one was sent in by Toaster Retribution.
Just
Oh,
a retribution.
Clue 1. This character has a mysterious past.
Hoyd.
It's not Hoyd.
Vasher.
It is not Vasher.
Eden Elsium.
Is it Beard? We haven't had Beard in a while.
I'm gonna guess Rock.
It is not Rock.
Who had
Look
a
at you and your
serious pass?
non-meme guesses.
Hey, I mean, Hoyd's a legit
I got
guess
through
here.
all of my miminess earlier with Destiny.
But did Destiny have a child? In the spiritual realm, maybe.
I'm gonna pass on this round because I can't come up with another person with
Wow,
a
are you kidding
serious past right now. Yeah, right.
Everyone has a mysterious past in the company.
Yeah, I suppose.
Any
yeah.
of the heralds, any of the shards. You just pick one.
I
I'm just gonna
will,
guess.
I will give you a choice. Go ahead and guess silence.
No, I guess science the last time. So I'm gonna
Yeah, but
guess.
that could be though.
Yeah. mhm.
Last time I told somebody to guess something, they got to know the first clue, and I was salty for a year and a half.
Okay, I'm gonna say silence.
It is not silence.
Vindicated.
For a minute, when you pause there, Grace, and you says it is and it is not silence, I was like, whoa.
I was gonna walk out.
Maybe I'll start doing all of my answers very dramatically from now on.
Okay.
Clue 2. This character is close to other mysterious people.
That is not remotely helpful at all.
Raise.
It is not Mraize.
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Yaddle.
It is not. Yeah.
Okay, good, because that's who I was gonna guess.
God damn it! You had me going there for a
I
moment.
know. We need the lights to come down, like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I don't think
Is
I
that
can
your
reach the
final?
light switch from here. And it would just turn off. It wouldn't dim. It would just be in darkness.
I mean, I can dim this upper light, but
I'm gonna guess Shashada.
what?
You said it
Shashada?
again?
Shara.
Oh, Shashara.
Oh,
It is not Shishara.
accents. I was like, wait, who?
Shashada. Okay.
Just like systematically going through like every Cosmere series for mysterious people. Talm.
It is not Taln. Clue 2.
Clue 2?
Or Clue 3. Clue 3.
Mhm.
This character is a good fighter.
Dent.
Nail.
It is not Denth. It is not Nail.
Astia?
It is not Arsteel. All right.
I tried to do something different than 05, Scholar. Look, it can't be Yeasteel because Yeasteel's good at sneaking, not fighting. Sneaking, mentioned twice.
Me.
Clue 4. This character is a liar.
Of Partnell?
A
I already guessed Hoyd.
Yeah, you did.
And he's not a good fighter. By definition.
Is it Beard?
It is not Beard.
mysterious, associated with other mysterious, liar, and fighter were the
Mhm.
clues.
Yeah.
Fighter
Is it Gavila?
Who did? Can you say that?
Gavila?
No, it is not Gavilar.
Mm.
It's a good guess. A fighter and a liar.
Yeah,
It's an interesting combination.
That should be like specific enough, shouldn't it?
Kelsier?
It is not Kelsier.
Like fighter really just messes up my whole like list of mysterious people. Like who's mysterious who fights? We guessed most of the 5 scholars. There's only Yeasteel, which it cannot be.
No, because he's good at sneaking.
No, there's only 3 times he's mentioned. There's like 5 references to him, period, in the entire works of everything. Who's mysterious but good at fighting? Who's not Nail? You know what? It's not, but I'm gonna go with Rasteris.
It is not Rasteris.
Because I know he's not a good fighter, but you know what? Dang it. He's mysterious.
Clue 5 is this character has indigestion problems at the end of Oathbringer.
What?
What?
Toaster Retribution send in some good clues here, I must say.
It specifically said magical indigestion, but I thought that might give it away too quickly.
Odium?
It is not Odium.
Okay, I don't know.
All right. Let's do the clues again. Verbose,
Okay.
verbatim, not verbose.
Could be
This
verbose.
character has a mysterious past.
Okay.
This character is close to mysterious people. This character is a good fighter. This character is a liar. This character got magical indigestion problems at the end of Oathbringer.
At the end of Oathbringer or by the time Oathbringer ended?
It says at the end of Oathbringer.
Oh, well, do you want to answer more about that?
What?
See, my thought is that this is an old magic thing, that they got magical indigestion from an old magic thing.
No, it's not that. I mean, I have a guess that kind of fits, but I would like. If that was the correct one, I would be upset. And so I'm not going to guess it.
It's literally in
Do
the
you not want to say it aloud so other people can guess it if they want?
Well, no, because if they do guess it, then it is correct, I would still be upset.
But if you're upset and you say it now, then we have it on record that it is that one. And you don't have to
last time we
fake it.
did that, it did
So
not
do you
end
want to
well
be
for me.
upset and correct, or upset and get a point, or upset and not get a point?
I guess I would be upset either way, wouldn't I?
If
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, if I'm right, yeah.
Who the hell
but
is
if I-
magical indigestion?
But if
So,
I'm
like-
not, I would be upset because I'm wrong. This story doesn't
Yes.
have a happy ending for me.
No, it doesn't.
But screw it. Nightblood.
It is not Nightblood.
Okay, yeah, I would be upset if that was the answer.
You guys might still be upset, but as the judge, I'm ruling that these two count.
Oh, I see.
I'm just gonna go ahead and guess lift
It
because
is not lift.
No.
I like where your minds are going now. Clever.
I don't know. Who the hell has magical indigestion?
Is it, I think I know it. Oh no, I don't.
I think he just got it.
I think you could
Oh,
tell
maybe
me
not.
and then I'll know it.
Oh. I think I just got it.
I don't.
I'm. If it's who I think it is, I am not mad
Okay.
because it does fit, sort of.
Is it Cheery Cheery?
It is not Cheery Cheery. So do one of you want to say what you think it is?
Is it Amram?
It is Amaram.
Mm,
Because something he ate didn't agree with
yeah.
his continuing life.
I don't like this.
I think as the judge, I made a decision
I don't
that
like
these
it.
clues count.
I don't like it.
No, the gemstone never makes it to his stomach. It kind of gets stuck here in the trachea, because when he is exposed, we see a hole in his chest, not in his stomach, and that's where the gem is. So it's not indigestion. It's
not indigestion. It's related to magic, but it is not indigestion. It's a swallowed thing and did not cause stomach pain. Yeah.
I liked the clue. I thought it was a fun clue.
Yeah.
Pout.
Fine.
I'm
Oh.
amused.
Follow us on 70show.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and pedanticness that you could ever want. You can join Discord for the same thing. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can leave us a review on iTunes, and you can support us on Patreon. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.
Caw. Cheery, cheery. Oh.